Okay, so picture this. The hub. Jack, Gwen, and Ianto, what's left of Torchwood, are just standing there, completely exhausted. They're staring at this huge, ominous coffin.
And the whole place is tense, there's a storm raging outside, and they've just been through, well, more stress than most organizations could handle in a year.
Exactly. And Jack, this guy who's always got this, swagger, his bravado is just gone. It's completely stripped away. He leans in and whispers something genuinely chilling.
This is bad. Very, very bad.
And that's the calm before the storm, isn't it? Because just as they're trying to process what could possibly be in that coffin, that's when the real crisis hit.
Oh, yeah. Ancient alarms, terrifying alarms, they all go off at once.
Yeah.
Red lights start pulsing through the hub. Sirens are wailing.
And then there's this bell. A deep old bell from the building's foundation starts to strike. And this isn't just any alarm.
No, this is the one reserved for what? Institutional catastrophe, the end of the world level stuff.
Right. And Jack's reaction tells you everything you need to know. This is a man who has faced down, entire armies, cosmic predators, the end of worlds.
And he's not brave, he's not stoic.
He's panicked. He's just yelling, no, 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 no. So whatever this alert means, it's worse than the coffin, it's worse than the storm. It's something their modern systems weren't even built to handle.
And what's so fascinating is that the alarm doesn't just trigger panic in the hub. It triggers something far, far away.
In Swindon, of all places.
Right. The signal opens the door to Storage Unit 7 in the Swindon Self-Use Store. A totally unremarkable place full of forgotten junk. And out of it steps a woman.
A woman who is so profoundly out of place, it's almost comical.
Immaculate.
Yeah.
Dressed in perfect Victorian attire like she's just stepped out of 1901.
And she immediately finds this poor guy in an orange fleece and asks him two very, very specific things.
First, what is the year?
Which she tells her is 2009. And second, she asks for a copy of Bradshaw's railway timetable.
And when the guy, understandably, can't just produce a pre-World War I train schedule, she just sighs. It's this genuine Victorian disappointment.
She says the time is 3 a.m. and she'll just have to rely on the timetable she keeps inside her copy of Little Dorrit.
And then with this incredible efficiency that just completely belies her appearance, she knocks him out cold.
Expertly. And calmly steals his wallet.
A perfect introduction right there. The rigid, judgmental past just violently crashing into the messy present.
And she's armed with impeccable manners, absolute authority, and, a taste for casual felony.
Exactly. And that right there is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to take a crash course in what has to be one of the most chaotic, transformative weeks in the organization's entire history.
We'll be navigating some deep institutional history, a couple of genuinely existential threats, and the arrival of, well, the most difficult boss you could possibly imagine.
And it's all in the sources. This incredible chaos created by an ancient assessor, a sentient oil-eating blob, and a secret alien invasion that arrived in 87 coffins.
The moment she gets to Cardiff, this woman, Agnes Havisham, is her chosen name. She puts Jack Harkness's entire operation under a microscope. A terrifyingly judgmental microscope.
Her arrival is the central conflict. She's not just some investigator. She's the judge, jury, and potentially the executioner for all of Torchwood.
Her awakening isn't a coincidence, it's a sign. A terrifyingly accurate measure of just how badly things are about to go wrong.
Okay, so we have to just jump right in. Let's unpack this with Section 1. The assessor's absolute authority and unexpected return. We need to understand why her presence alone is almost as bad as the aliens.
It's critical, yeah, because Agnes Havisham isn't just some eccentric who froze herself. She is the Torchwood assessor.
A role created by Queen Victoria herself right at the Institute's founding. Her specific mission was to watch over the future of Torchwood.
To make sure it didn't stray from its path of, protecting the Empire.
The Queen wanted a check and balance, and Agnes is it. The system that woke her up is designed to be very, very picky. It only rouses her at a moment of great chaos.
Which is what Jack realizes. The situation has gone way beyond a typical alien of the week and into truly existential territory, so we know it's dire before we even know what the threat is.
And when the sources say her authority is absolute, they mean it. Her decision is final. Her judgment is impeccable.
She's basically the ultimate terrifying and, impeccably dressed HR department.
If HR carried a revolver and had been in deep freeze since 1901.
But the threat isn't just her judgment, is it? It's the history she brings with her. When she finally meets Jack, she just launches into this devastating critique of Torchwood's entire history.
Yeah, she talks about the avarice that plagued the Institute from the very beginning. This isn't just about hunting aliens for her. It's about moral philosophy.
She even brings up the disappearance of Torchwood 4, something the modern team barely has any records of.
But she saves her most scathing judgment for the collapse of Torchwood 1, for Canary Wharf.
She calls it reckless, greedy folly, and that language, that specific phrase, shows she gets it. She understands the core moral failure of the London branch.
It was that drive for results, for acquiring resources, no matter the cost. That's what led to them ripping open the rift. She tells Jack she always worried about a certain avarice eating at the heart of Torchwood.
And Canary Wharf was just that greed in full, disgusting bloom.
So in her eyes, Jack is just the direct successor to that flawed ideology, and she's here to shut it all down before he can make the same mistakes.
And this brings us to the technical reason for Jack's panic, the ticking clock. Agnes reveals her primary tool.
Her most devastating one, the Cowper key.
Which isn't a physical key, right? It's a word. A verbal code she can speak to, enact a total systems shutdown of the hub, plunge it into permanent darkness.
The original purpose was, well, it was supposed to be procedural. Queen Victoria mandated it to lock down all evidence, seal all the files, prevent corruption before an official inquiry could be held.
An inquiry that would have been conducted by the Central Command? Torchwood 1.
Exactly. But as Jack explains to a horrified Gwen and Ianto, Torchwood 1 is gone. It fell into the rift.
So the Cowper key doesn't trigger an inquiry anymore. It triggers an organizational coma.
It would be a permanent, probably irreversible shutdown. It would effectively end Torchwood. The team would spend months just trying to bypass the security protocols if they even could.
Which raises a really interesting point. Why did the system wake her now for a crisis in Cardiff, but not when Torchwood 1, the heart of the whole organization, collapsed?
The sources suggest the system only activates if it thinks the Institute can still be saved. Maybe the fall of Torchwood 1 was it was beyond redemption, a total failure that was best just wiped out.
But the situation in Cardiff, as chaotic as it is, still has a slim chance. Under new management, of course.
It's a terrifying vote of conditional confidence, isn't it?
So let's pivot to her personality, because that really dictates everything. She operates with this, rigid competence and the unflappable sensibility of 1901.
And she insists on maintaining those old standards. She uses an alias, chooses the respectable Agnes Havisham over Bethy Trotwood.
And her copy of Little Dorrit, it's legendary. She says it's seen her through 2 invasions, 1 apocalypse, and a visitation by the ambassadors of the Roaring Bang.
The book is part comfort blanket, part historical record of cosmic disasters.
And her interaction with the team is immediately just abrasive. Into offers her coffee, she demands tea served immediately and calls him dear child.
Puts him firmly in the helpful but insignificant staff category. And she completely dismisses Jack's idea that the alarms were just a routine weevil hunt.
She doesn't just critique their professional lives either. She goes after their personal lives. She finds out Gwen is married to Russ Williams, who works in Hollage, and she calls their arrangement thrillingly modern.
She's genuinely baffled. She thinks Russ must be a drayman, someone who drives a horse-drawn cart. She cannot understand why a Torchwood field agent would marry a normal bloke.
It reveals this deep institutional bias. For Agnes, Torchwood agents are supposed to be separate, superior. Marrying a man in Hollage is like a descent into the common rabble for her.
And her reaction to modern youth culture is just a masterpiece. During the Weevil hunt, she sees some emo kids.
Oh, this is amazing.
She turns to Gwen with this completely clinical curiosity and asks if they are some form of slave race.
Because of how they're dressed and their, apparent despair. But that Victorian rigor translates into terrifying efficiency when they actually find the Weevils.
Right. Jack's stun gun, the modern non-lethal solution, it does nothing. It's completely ineffective.
So Agnes, without any fanfare, just pulls out her personal revolver, aims, fires twice, and kills both Weevils instantly.
And her verdict, Weevils bore me. She is just profoundly more lethal than the modern team's protocols even allow for.
In her eyes, the team is soft, they're distracted by domestic life, and they depend on inefficient, non-lethal toys. She's terrifying in a bonnet.
But Jack knows it wasn't the Weevils. They didn't trigger that ancient alarm. They were just a distraction.
Something much, much worse is loose in Cardiff. Something big enough to warrant waking the assessor.
And that leads us, unfortunately, into the real source of the chaos. If the Copper Key was triggered, the threat had to be existential, which means we need Section 2. The VAM, biology, appetite, and existential threat.
This is why she was woken up. The VAM is it's horrifying. because of its scale, its intelligence, and its terrifyingly specific diet.
The sources say it arrived as a mass less than 10 centimeters in diameter. It was basically just a smear, a little viscous splat on the side of one of the 87 coffins that came through the rift.
It doesn't stay small for long, though. Its whole existence is about feeding and growing. At first, it eats organic stuff. A pigeon on the beach.
Which it apparently relishes. It grows to the size of a deflated football pretty quickly. But its goal isn't just survival, it's seeking intelligence.
Its first human victim is an estate agent named Suzanne in a car park. And the act of consumption is where the true horror comes in.
Because when it eats Suzanne, it gets everything. It instantly acquires all her knowledge.
Her job, her romantic attachments.
And crucially, her language. The VAM's first human words, which it whispers after its meal, aren't in English. They're in Welsh.
Of nad we fi, dynoliath or her with fi your vam. Fear me, humanity, for I am the VAM.
That detail is just staggering. It's a world eater that synthesizes its prey's consciousness. It learns about real estate and romance just by consuming matter.
But the real threat, the thing that makes it apocalyptic, is when it develops a very specific preference, a craving.
Polymers, plastic. And this is where it goes from being a terrifying predator to an urban menace on a completely different scale.
The sources give this perfect, terrifying example. The Sky Point incident. Sky Point is supposed to be the shining new commercial building, all marble and glass.
For the VAM, it's an all-you-can-eat plastic buffet. It devours polystyrene ceiling panels, the insulation from electrical wires.
Causing massive power outages across that whole section of the city.
And it even eats the complex polymers inside the computer systems, the cabling.
And the aftermath is what's so chilling. All that's left are the metal bits and other non-digestible components, all fused together in what the source describes as a block of plastic toffee.
Just a solidified, worthless mass of what used to be complex infrastructure. And the speed of it is what paralyzes them. It went from a deflated football to the size of a mobile football pitch just by eating one building.
And this is where Agnes's historical critique of avarice connects directly to the present crisis. After surveying the wreckage, she delivers the ultimate insult to modern civilization.
She observes that humanity's over-reliance on a single material, plastic, has made Earth irresistible to the VAM.
We've basically coated our entire civilization in easily digestible, high-energy alien fast food.
She even gives this fantastic, witty contrast. She says wryly that Wedgwood China never had the same appeal for an alien predator.
The implication is just devastating, isn't it? Our modern world, with its cheap, disposable materials, has created the perfect nutritional environment for a world-consuming monster. We've engineered our own greatest weakness.
The VAM isn't just some monster that fell through the rift. It's a mirror, showing us just how fragile our petroleum-based civilization really is. The very things we use to define our modernity are the fuel for our own destruction.
It grows to the point where it just casually consumes a fire engine. The threat isn't just existential anymore, it's immediate and it's accelerating. And that urgency leads directly to this profound philosophical clash that just tears the team apart.
Which brings us to Section 3, the philosophical divide, exploitation versus elimination. Once the VAM is big enough to be an undeniable threat, Agnes, after doing some quick internet research with Ianto's help, she proposes a solution.
And it is so radical, so pragmatically imperial, that it instantly divides the team.
This is the moment, right? The true clash of Torchwood philosophies. You have Jack's modern protect Earth at all costs idealism versus Agnes's 1901 exploit resources for the Empire's pragmatism.
Because Agnes looks at the VAM and she doesn't see a threat. She sees a resource, an opportunity to make Britain great again.
She connects Jack's analysis that it targets polymers with her own observation of its waste product. She argues the VAM converts waste plastic, a massive national problem, into usable, refined fuel.
She even comes up with a slogan for it: rubbish in, diesel out. This monster, in her eyes, is the solution to the global energy crisis, a total game changer.
The geopolitical implications she lays out are staggering. She projects that this single creature would make Wales the most oil-rich country in the world.
And within 2 decades, Great Britain would be the only nation left with its own guaranteed oil reserves. Geopolitical dominance, guaranteed.
She argues that exploiting a controllable alien is far more sensible than pursuing other, more costly alternatives. She even takes a shot at modern environmental efforts.
The line about cows waddling around fields with bags to catch their farts?
It's classic Agnes.
Yeah.
For her, the elegant, profitable solution is always the right one, and the VAM offers both.
Jack is just. He's furious. He dismisses the idea as nuts, but his opposition isn't just philosophical. It's based on archived intelligence.
He's checked all the records Torchwood has, from every alien species they've ever encountered, and the VAM's name isn't in any of them.
And his conclusion is chilling. No one who has ever heard its name has survived.
He realizes this isn't some rogue creature. This is an apex predator of legend. Its offer to solve global warming is a trap, a lure to ensure its own survival and multiplication until it can expand its diet beyond just plastic.
It's the perfect clash. Institutional wisdom, Agnes's imperial ledger versus Jack's survival instinct, his historical archive.
But Agnes is committed. She tries this old-school containment strategy with portable force field generators mounted on police cars.
Which fails instantly and just humiliatingly. The VAM is a fluid mass. It just flows around the invisible barrier.
Like water around a stone. Then it just consumes the police cars one by one.
The failure is total, but she is completely undeterred. She decides to parley with it. She steps out with a loudhailer to negotiate on behalf of the British Empire.
Believing her status and authority will somehow impress this planet-eating blob.
And of course, the VAM immediately eats her.
But Agnes is always prepared. The sources reveal she'd pocketed a personal, miniaturized force field generator, highly illegal alien tech. She fully intended to survive inside it for 15 minutes to confirm its energy conversion process firsthand.
The sheer commitment to the experiment is staggering, and her proposal, as insane as it is, creates a genuine rift in Jack's team.
Ianto, still reeling from the fall of Torchwood 1, which was all chaos and bad management, he's actually tempted by the idea of elegant, efficient energy independence.
And even Gwen, though she's horrified by what happened to Suzanne, finds the idea of turning the monster into a global solution. Appealingly simple, solving the world's problems with alien diesel.
It's a powerful idea when you're facing disaster.
Yeah.
Which raises that critical question, right? How does the pursuit of an elegant solution blind leaders to obvious moral hazards?
Agnes, in her desire to elevate the empire, she prioritized resource acquisition over safety. The exact same avarice she condemned in Torchwood 1.
Her attempt to create the perfect resource nearly ends the world because she just couldn't accept that some things are too dangerous to be controlled.
And Jack, he's been overruled. His team is being swayed by this crazy plan. He realizes he needs help from someone completely outside the system.
He needs someone predictable, loyal, and utterly normal.
He needs a bloke with trucks.
Which brings us, thankfully, to Section 4. The cavalry. Haulage, sonic cannons, and the normal guy.
Right.
Jack, completely desperate at this point, calls the one person he trusts to be an original thinker outside the military box.
Rhys Williams, Gwen's husband.
Jack needs two things only Rhys can provide: mobility and a delivery system that won't ask too many questions. And Rhys, running a haulage company, is the perfect unexpected military asset.
Jack reveals the solution he's found, hidden deep in the Torchwood armory, Martian technology. Specifically, sonic cannons captured 40 years earlier.
He describes the original Martians as vicious jelly and wobble, which is the key to the whole thing. The science is actually very clever. The VAM maintains its form through a tightly woven molecular network.
So if the VAM is basically vicious jelly, what does jelly do best? It wobbles. The Martian tech targets that molecular network, causing extreme vibration and destabilization.
And the logistics fall to Rhys, who, despite being terrified, embraces the mission. He outfits 6 of his massive trucks, disguises them as police support units.
And gives them the best names ever. Groupie 1, Axl Rose, and Chili Peppers.
It's brilliant. So Gwen is running command and control, coordinating everything. She gives the final order over the radio.
This is Groupie 1 to Axl Rose and the Chili Peppers. Let's make some noise.
Rhys leads the charge. The sources describe the sonic blast as this intense physical thing. The world shudders. Gwen's eyeballs shake. It's a vibration that rattles their brains.
And it doesn't kill the VAM, not right away. It does exactly what Jack predicted. It makes the VAM wobble violently. The creature rears up, totally confused and disoriented.
And in that confusion, it splits open, and Agnes is expelled, still sitting cross-legged, completely protected by her personal force field.
Her experiment failed, but her survival was guaranteed. It's a spectacular scene. And Jack, having his I told you so moment, is ready to finish it.
He uses this bizarre piece of tech from the medical bay. Owen's alien surgical thingy.
It's a device that was used to destroy an alien love child without surgery, so it's perfect for targeting tightly woven biological structures. He pushes a button.
And the VAM explodes. A massive 3-mile-wide cloud of black, sticky diesel fuel rains down on Cardiff.
The aftermath is just triumphant and slightly ridiculous. Russ is soaked in oil, his suit is ruined, but he's victorious. He gives this perfect oily curtsy to Agnes.
Before securing his men's loyalty with double overtime, 100 quid bonus, the essentials.
The normal guy with ordinary trucks and weird alien tech saved the day, proving Jack's instinct was right.
But the van was only the first wave. It was just a passenger. The true catastrophe, the reason for the alarm, is only just beginning to unfold.
Right. And this is where we get to section V, the second wave, the coffins and Agnes's grand design. This is the twist that reveals the assessor was playing a much deeper, much more dangerous game all along.
After the van is gone, they finally turn their attention to the 87 coffins, and they weren't containing bodies. They were transportation units.
Yeah.
For the extinction.
A species described as, thorny, moss-covered trees, towering, clicking things.
Looking for a new home because their planet is dying. As the coffins click open, the night is bathed in this wrong shade of blue, and out they step, announcing, "We are extinction. We have arrived."
And this is where Agnes's true manipulation is revealed. Jack was right, she was hiding something, but the scale of it is just immense.
She orchestrated the whole thing.
She admits it. She set off the alarms herself, remotely. And she advised the extinction on the coffin design to make sure Torchwood couldn't scan them and detect the incoming invasion force.
Her goal was never to stop them. Her goal was leverage. She wanted to use the invasion to broker a new trading partnership for the Empire.
Safe passage and a new home in exchange for future tech and commercial benefits for Britain.
She even picked out a spot for them. A place she deemed not terribly important.
Guatemala.
The casual imperial mindset is just breathtaking. She really believed aliens should be dealt with intelligently and creatively. But her grand plan was based on some very flawed intel.
Entered George Herbert Sanderson, Agnes's fiancé, who has just returned from a century-long solo voyage in his bronze, egg-shaped starship.
He had actually tried to warn her. He discovered the extinction weren't benevolent partners. They were hostile invaders planning a full takeover.
But before he could explain, Agnes, thinking he was just being dramatic, captures Gwen to keep her safe, she claims, and orders George Herbert's ship to hold her in orbit.
It's a tragic comedy of errors. Her whole plan collapses when the extinction commander just gloats over the captured Jack and Agnes, explaining that yes, they are a bridgehead for a full invasion.
Jack, Agnes, and Ianto are captured, bound to these tree-like aliens with thorny vines and sticky sap. It looks like it's all over.
But they have one last trick up their sleeve. Or rather, one last bottle of rum in a hollowed-out book.
Of course. A flask of high-proof Bermudian rum that Agnes had hidden inside her copy of Little Dorrit.
So while the aliens think they're intoxicated by fear, Jack and Agnes are declaring themselves absolutely smashed.
Ianto, unfortunately, was genuinely smashed. He has a weak head for spirits.
But the rum had a purpose, a dual function. High-proof alcohol is a solvent. They were using it to dissolve the tree sap bonds holding them captive.
And since the extinction are plant-based, the alcohol was also acting as a poison, slowly debilitating their captors.
Meanwhile, Gwen is stuck on the crashing ship with George Herbert. She realizes their only hope is to call the one person who gets the job done. The ship's eccentric computer, Bramwell, manages to rewire Gwen's phone, and she gets through.
And Rye is still in his white van, still soaked in flammable diesel, is just told to come pick us up. And quickly.
The timing is perfect chaos.
Yeah.
They free a very woozy Ianto and race across the diesel-soaked beach just as George Herbert's ship plummets towards them.
It crashes right onto the beach, igniting all the diesel fuel from the van. The fire incinerates the entire extinction invasion force and destroys their portal.
And Rees, having just saved the world again with his van, triumphantly notes, "That was some very nifty driving, even if I do say so myself."
So now we get to the final summation, section 6. Outro, the ultimate assessment. We're back in the hub. The team is a wreck. Jack's alive, Gwen's burned, and Ianto is green-faced from the rum and something else.
And Agnes makes her final, contradictory moves. She puts Gwen in charge in an executive consultative role. She completely sidelines Jack.
Jack is furious, starts yelling, and Gwen is trying to shush him, reminding him about the Cowper key, and Agnes just smiles and hands Gwen her assessment folder.
And Gwen opens it, and it's blank.
They immediately think she's just trying to stir up trouble, set them against each other with a petty power struggle before she leaves.
But then Gwen takes a sip of the tea Agnes had made for them, and she grimaces.
It tastes worse than yours, Ianto. It's vile.
And Ianto, still woozy, confirms the chilling truth. That'll be the retcon.
What? She drugged them. She laced their tea with the memory-wiping drug. This isn't just sabotage. This is psychological erasure.
Jack runs to the monitor and sees it. Total system shutdown. No, 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 she's used the key.
She's used the Cowper key after the threat was gone and after she drugged them.
And as the hub is plunged into that pulsing red light, that organizational coma, they see Agnes and George Herbert floating up on the invisible lift, just waving goodbye.
So the shutdown and the memory wipe happen at the same time. The sources confirm it. Their memories of the entire week, Agnes, George Herbert, the VAM, the invasion, it's all erased.
So they're left with this belief that Agnes was just stirring up trouble with a blank report that somehow triggered the shutdown. They have the chaos, but none of the context.
But we, and you, the listener, we know the truth. She used the key after neutralizing 2 apocalyptic threats, and she wiped their memories of the whole thing.
Which, given her self-proclaimed status as a great patriot, raises a really important final question, doesn't it?
Was this a malicious act of sabotage? A way to end Jack's chaotic operation and just disappear with her fiancé?
Or was the shutdown and the memory wipe the final necessary stage of her risk assessment? Was it a way to enforce a total data reset? To protect the team from the horrific, maybe sanity-breaking knowledge of what they'd just been through?
By erasing the VAM's name, the Exaltulstulp's existence, in her own role, she removed the institutional knowledge of 2 world-ending threats. She ensured that knowledge could never again lead to the kind of avarice that destroyed Torchwood 1.
She left them a blank slate, forcing them to operate on instinct and trust, not on compromised records. A complete system reset, enforced by a Victorian lady with a flask of rum. It's a deep dive that ultimately makes you question whether the greatest threat was ever the aliens.
Or whether it was the organization's own institutional hubris. A hubris Agnes decided to excise with a cup of tea and a forgotten word of power. Definitely something for you to mull over.